All right, all right. How you doing? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Hope that you're feeling good. I hope that you slept well. It's noontime. And if you're at work and it's time for you to take a break, time for that lunchtime, you might be hearing the lunch bell ring. It's not the days of Fred Flintstone. I might be aging myself. You know, Fred and Barney had that big, lunch bell, and it was ring. You know, it's time to go to lunch, right? That's what we're doing right now. And it's Talk It Out Tuesday. Comment where you're from. Get on in here and comment where you're from. I almost thought I wasn't going to do this today. So much going on, and I didn't plan to. But I got to a place within my day, and I said, you know what? Let me come on and let me talk to the people a little bit. Just a little bit. We got some things we need to talk about, some things that we could talk about. So come on in here, get on in here and comment where you're from. Let me know where you are watching from. All right. Talk It Out Tuesday. And today we're going to talk about something I think is really important. I think it's important. I want to talk about the things that you guys want to talk about, but there's something that I have on my mind as well. And it's who's going to care for you. Have you thought about that? How many of you watch the documentary this weekend, Where's Wendy Williams? Who watched the Where's Wendy Williams documentary? Come on in here, let me know who had an opportunity to watch that. I see we got Keep the Faith in the house. Keep the Faith with Tori. She's not going to be on the podcast today, but she is here with us. She said, I'm here. How you doing, Tori? Tori's at the doctor. I'm still at the doctor's currently in Florence. So she's in my area. She's in the zip code. But we're asking the question, who's going to take care of you? Did you see the Wendy Williams documentary? What did you guys think of that? Anybody out there who watched it, let me know what you thought about that. It was, for me, I found it kind of heavy. I really found it kind of heavy. I don't know what's going on. I see we got D Myers in the building. Says Cousin D in T-ville. What's up over there in T-ville, Timmonsville, South Carolina? Good to have you in the house with us here, man. Good to have you in the house. We're going to be talking about caregiving and caregivers because I don't know what you guys took from the Wendy Williams documentary, but for me, I took a couple things. And it really centered around caregiving. So that's why I'm asking the question, who's going to take care of you? And I think a lot of us have to ask, and some of us are already in these positions. There are people who are taking care of elderly parents or someone, a loved one. You may be in the caregiving profession, but caregiving is very important because there are people who reach a stage in life, or there could be an accident or something that happens to them, an illness, and they require some serious around the clock care. So who's caring for them? Have you and your family talked about it? Have you and your sisters and your brothers talked about who might take care of daddy or granddaddy or mama or grandma? Are these discussions that you have? Because if they're not, you need to have them. And if Where is Wendy didn't make you think of that, if you only watched it for the sake of the gossip of it, for the sensationalism of it, well, I think you missed something. And I asked that question. I asked the bigger question. I said, did she think about who might be taking care of her? I don't know how much or how aware she was of her conditions at some point. I'm really not sure. I don't know if there was a point where she could cognitively understand that, hey, this is a progressive type of illness. So let me put some things in line. Let me get some things in line. Who's going to take care of me? Who's going to be responsible? I've gotta think about my finance, I've gotta think about my kid, I gotta think about my business, my home, because she lived in that big two-story, well, multi-story apartment, and she had issues with her feet, and so going up and down those stairs became quite a challenge for her, and that becomes a challenge for many older people, you have older people who just can't go up and down those stairs anymore. So are we thinking about those type of things when we have our homes? Do we make sure that we have a bedroom suite that is on the first floor, or all of the bedroom suites on the upper floor? We have to think about that. Do you think you might have to transition to a one-story, you know, home? We have to think about those things. And if you're not, and you watch that documentary, I don't know what you were looking at. I see we got Amina in the house. How you doing? She says, "Great perspective." How you doing, Amina? I didn't think I was gonna be here today. I really didn't. Kinda last minute, came on in here and decided to do this podcast. And the interesting thing for me is while I watched this documentary over the weekend, and the reason why I thought I wouldn't be doing this podcast is because Tuesday, and I'm not telling too much of my business, but I'm gonna tell you a little bit. Tuesday, I had to take my mom to urgent care. So, she's been a bit under the weather, and I have been here, just making sure that she's fine, caring for her, doing what I could do to make sure that she's comfortable. And I feel like, I don't necessarily feel like it's my responsibility. I feel like it's something that I wanted to do, that I should do. I'm able to do it. And so that's what I'm doing. So I said, I might not do the podcast. I'd already known that Tori would be, she had a doctor's appointment today, so I was gonna have a guest host come in. And I had a couple people who came in who and I really had some really great candidates to guest host with me, but I said, "You know what? After my mom got sick," I said, "I'm not even gonna worry about doing the podcast." I'm like, "Okay, we'll come back next week." But, to let you know that she is feeling better. She's feeling better. Not 100%, not 100%. It'll be a little while, but in terms of where she is, she's feeling better. So I'm really grateful for that. I am very, very grateful. Uh, I see Tori got the pray hands in the air for Mama. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope everything goes well for you at your doctor's appointment. I do. So come in here, guys. What did you guys think of the Where is Wendy documentary? I am going to bring up. I want to bring up a Facebook post that I made. Let me get in here. Okay. So I made a post and I asked the question if you guys were I said, who else is watching this Wendy Williams doc? This is difficult to watch. It's really difficult for me, guys. I gotta be honest. It was hard. I don't know how you guys watched it. I don't know what you thought of it while you were watching it, but it was hard for me. It really was because I know a lot of people were focusing on and thinking about the alcoholism, and I'm not ignoring that, but more than the alcoholism, I could see that look in the eye that I know too well, that I wish I didn't know too well, because I have been a caregiver for people who suffer from dementia. I know what that is. I know what that looks like, and it's not an easy thing to deal with. Uh, and I cared for someone who was just someone of a great pride, a woman of a great pride. She she was in many organizations. She was a woman who liked to dress, who kept her home very nice. She was just an awesome person. But to watch that slowly slip away, I don't know if you guys know what that is like. So I asked the question, I said, who is watching this Wendy Williams doc? This is difficult to watch. And people began to chime in. And I had Pamela Owens, Betty come in. She said, whoo. Well, she said, it is so sad. She said, "It's so sad," and she had the crying emoji. And I was like, "Woo, I had no idea all of this was happening. This is tough," because I didn't know all of this was going on. Of course, I'm aware of who Wendy Williams is, um, but I haven't really been following a lot of that. I hadn't really been following her show a whole lot, or a lot that Wendy had been doing before she went off air. So, um, I just didn't know. I didn't know what was going on. All right. So we got Candy who was watching, and she said she's severely ill. The Graves disease alone had wreaked havoc on her physically and mentally. But I'll tell you something I know for sure: when things happen to you back to back to back, you don't properly deal with it, it will attack you physically and emotionally. And I gotta say, I think that she's right. And so quite a few people were watching, and a lot of people were having a difficult time with it. And they were asking me what my thought was, which I was sharing. I see we had Pamela Mitchell in here. She said, "It was tough to watch." I agree with her. It was really, really tough to watch, guys. We're talking about where is Wendy documentary? Where's Wendy Williams? It was really tough. She said not I think she said, let me see here. Let me go through here. It was tough to watch, but now I understand how and why she's not in control of her money. She really need to go back to Florida with her family. It's giving me MJ vibes. What's some of you guys' thoughts? Get in the comments here. What are you thinking about this? I see we got Kimberly St. Clair over in LA. She said, "Good day from LA. Was on a call, but I'm here. Well wishes to Vinca." You had to put my mama name out there like that. You ain't had to put her name out in these streets like that. I said my mama, and you just let me take this down. All right, she's doing good. She's doing good. And I see we got Daryl Myers in here. Said, "Speak, cousin." Right. Also, Kimberly says, "I haven't seen the doc, but the clips for me are also really hard to watch." They are. There isn't a clip in there that they could take from that documentary that would be easy to watch. There isn't. I see we got Amina. She says, "I agree that it's difficult to watch. She was such a lively woman prior to her illness. Seeing that slip away is heartbreaking. There are a couple episodes of her show where she was obviously not okay. I never imagined that it will become as severe as it is." Because you don't know if you've never had the opportunity to see this, to be around this, you don't know what to think. Because the people around her who are thinking, "Well, this is just Wendy." Well, it's just not. It's just not. It's not that same person that you knew. They are slowly slipping away from you, and it's not their fault. Like, the way that she was, the behavior that I saw in the documentary was so familiar to me. As I was telling you about the lady that I took care of with dementia, to know her before and to know her with the illness, it's just a different woman, different woman. So that brought me to ask this question. Have you all within your families, have you thought about who might take care of you or who might take care of your elderly parents? What have you been doing? Has this documentary made you think that way? Let me know, because you should be thinking that. Tell me what's on your mind. Tell me. Take this minute to go ahead and hit the like, hit the subscribe. I want to keep making sure that I can bring these type of conversations to you. I want to talk to you about things that are going on in our world and around us. But I also want us to look at the bigger picture. I want us to be able to have a larger conversation. So make sure that you do that. All right. All right, guys. Let me get into the comments here and see what's going on with you. I see I got Amina. She said, okay, I got her already. Uh, Antoinette Kane. Did we read this one? I read that one. We got Brandon Pearson in here. How you doing? Good to have you in here, man. Just put me in a nursing home or something. I wouldn't want my family to have to deal with that. Wow, interesting, man. Because typically people say the opposite. Typically people want to stay in their home. They really do. So it's not often that you hear a person say, "Put me in a nursing home." A lot of people feel like they won't be cared for properly. Uh, so what really makes you say that, man? What makes you think that you would wanna be in a nursing home? All right. Kimberly St. Clair says, "Amina, I feel you on that." She said, "It's hard to imagine that they have the purest of intentions because if not for money, why even produce the documentary? It isn't highlighting her work and entertainment. It's really built around the health spiral." Hmm. You know, it's I find that interesting too. Something that I need to do. I've gotta go back and I've gotta read the end credits of this documentary. So I really wanna see who is responsible for executive producing this project. I really am curious because I really don't know. But, I don't know. I don't know. Kimberly, you bring something up, like, why would they put that out? I asked the same thing because I can't imagine a woman who, of her type of pride would want to be seen that way. And I know people are saying, well, Wendy came out and she always talked about other people. She put people's business out there. Yeah, she did. She did. That was her thing. She did that. But Imma tell you something. She did something that a lot of you are doing now in these podcasts. If Wendy didn't do what Wendy did, if Wendy didn't talk the way that she talked, like the platform for podcasts, let's be honest, the platform for many podcasts wouldn't exist. It wouldn't. And because she went off air and we went into this stage of, we went into the pandemic, that is where her style of entertainment, her style of TV, I should say, podcast just took that over. And you guys are running with it. So you've got to be grateful and thankful for that because she really created that lane. She did. But that doesn't mean that we look at someone who is ill, someone who is very obviously sick. I don't know that she did that. And if she did, that's something that I totally missed, that I did not see. I can't say if she did or not because I don't recall. I didn't follow her quite like that, but I don't think she did that. I know she gossiped. I know she gossiped, but the way they portrayed her on TV, I don't know how they had the heart to do it. Beyond like, not only do I can I not believe that they did that, like the people who were shooting it. How could they every day have those cameras in her home and be in her face and watch that? I couldn't shoot that. I would not be that photographer. And then you have I mean, because a documentary, the entire process of taking something, from a conceptual idea, which, someone let me know that the first part of, this documentary series, she had a three-part deal with Lifetime, and she did the first part. Okay, she was aware. I didn't know that. So she was very much involved in that, but these last 2, for her to be obligated, I don't know if she was just obligated to give the last 2, and if so, then Lifetime needs to get themselves in check because this woman is sick and you should not keep her contractually in that because she's not in the same state of mind. That's a problem. The people who were on the production side of it, how could you do that? Why would you do that? I'd be very interested for them to have a behind the scenes, and let's put the people behind the scenes in front of a camera, and let's ask them some questions like, "How were you able to do that?" I'd like to talk to someone. I'd love to talk to the photographer and ask them, "How were you able to shoot that every day? Did you know her before? Watching the decline, did you feel like this was something that needed to be documented? And if so, I'd like to know why." And we watched it. And if you did watch it, that's what I'm asking here now. What did you take from it? Because it couldn't be just what the title was, "Where is Wendy Williams?" You couldn't be that curious because after just watching just a few minutes in, you knew that something wasn't right. You could see it in her eyes. You could. She's got several things that she's dealing with. All right. Let's see here. I got piece of cake conversations. Amina in the house. She said, "My grandmother was in a nursing home. And then you have to worry about elder abuse, right? There's so much that is out of your control when they're in a nursing home, and typically, like I said, a lot of people don't want to go to a nursing home. You'll hear a lot of older people say, "Keep me at home. I don't want to be put in a nursing home." You'll hear that. And I got to tell you, I don't think that is an easy decision to make. Obviously, it's not. And there are going to be families that's their only option. And we can't fault them for that either because you're gonna have a situation where you've got people who are just not in the home. They may live in different states. And then you've got people who've gotta work. They've gotta work to survive and live, to keep themselves and their families, afloat. And so giving that around the clock care for someone is just not an option for them. It's not that they don't love them. So that is a very interesting position to be in, a horrible position to be in, but it is definitely a conversation that we need to be having. So, what are we going to do? Because, like I said, people have to work. There are, you know, both people in the family, both people in the household are working. So, who's going to take care of grandma? Who's going to take care of mom if you live in another state? Who's going to take care of them if you are the only child? You don't have any brothers or sisters or someone to help or who can take that responsibility. They may not have sisters or brothers or someone who is going to be able to take care of that responsibility. So there's a lot that goes into it. So I feel like this documentary offers us an opportunity to have these conversations. We've got to think about this. And not only for elderly, but if you have an accident, if you become ill, because that happens to be Wendy's situation. Wendy is not even 60 yet. If she is, she's just turning 60. So that's not old. I don't imagine the average 50 to 60-year-old is feeling like they're not going to be able to take care of themselves. It's a very prime time in life. So what are you doing? I see we got Brandon here. He came back. He said, "I've seen how having to deal with a family member's mental decline takes a toll on the caregivers." Whew, it does, man. It absolutely does. And again, I know what that's like. I offered that to a family. It was difficult for them, but I also came in and I was a part of the team that helped take care of this lady. And it was very challenging. Very, very challenging because you're dealing with someone who is just not in their proper state of mind. They're not. You're dealing with conversations and you've just got to know how to let me put it like this. This is how I dealt with it. I had to allow myself to just be in the moment. Whenever I was there, I had to just be very focused on the moment, what her immediate needs were. If the conversation was something that I did not understand, it was okay. I didn't try to correct her in a lot of senses because I knew that this wasn't something that she was purposefully doing. So I did try to find things that I knew that she liked. And I would often find music and movies that had music in it because I discovered that she remembered music. And every time I turned to something where she could sing, it would put her in a good state of mind. So we did that. And I understood how to do things with her that were just very in the moment. Whatever it is that she had to say or whatever it is that she was feeling, I just had to allow it. I had to be the one to know that, okay, well, I know what's going on here. I can't expect her to. I can't blame her for anything that she might be saying or doing at this point. There's a saying they say, once a man, twice a child. And that's how I took it because she very much needed care, just as we would care for a child who would not be able to communicate with us. But we have to be so tuned in that we know what they need and we provide that for them. So that's how I was able to deal with it. I see we got Kimberly here. She said, "That's an unpopular opinion, but it made me think." Like right away. I'm like, if I'm suffering at that level, it would be harder on my loved ones than it would be on me. Maybe a facility isn't a bad idea. You just made me think about something I hadn't considered. I mean, you're right, but there's several different ways of getting care. As I told you, as a caregiver for someone with dementia, I was a part of uh, a certain amount of hours of helping that person because they had to work and carry on the household. She couldn't be left alone. So within those times when they were not able to be there, I was there so that you can get daycare. There are daycare facilities. You can get people who can come into the home and provide daycare. And that's where, it's coupled with the family. Now, is it a lot? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a lot, um, just dealing with a loved one who just happens to have a temporary illness, just having to care for them. If just like we know in the pandemic, when we had people who needed to be quarantined, but they still had to have a certain level of care. They still had to be provided for meals, all of that. And we think about if someone has the flu or a cold, yeah, that's not a huge illness, but for an older person, they still might need a different type of care. So you got to care for them. You got to make sure they get their food. You got to make sure it's everything that they can't do for themselves. You need to be able to provide that. You need to be able to provide that. But is it a lot on the caregiver? Absolutely it is. So it's not easy, but you guys need to think about that too. Are you going to be able to provide that for your parents or your grandparents or for your spouse? Will you be able to do that? Tough decisions. I see we got Les Eccles here. He says senior care is not free. If going to a nursing home, someone needs to have finances to do so. Woo! Les, you brought up a very, very valid point. Who's paying for it? Who's paying to put this person in that home? Because listen to what Les said. He's telling you senior care is not free. It's not. It is a service. It is a service, but it's not a free service. So some people, and let's be honest, some people don't even have that option. So they've got to find someone to care. You've got people in the house who have to care for that person. That's a lot, guys. That's a whole lot. All right, we got some more comments coming on through. Let's see. I see we got Daryl Myers. He says, I didn't watch, but as a current patient care assistant, I'm noticing the bigger picture of everyone's life and transition. And that part becomes neglected. Y'all heard it. We've got people who are caregivers and patient care assistants, and you see it. You watch this thing happening. Some of the family members who used to visit on a regular basis, they don't visit anymore because it's hard for them to watch. It's hard for them to see their loved one not be in that spark of life. They don't see who they are anymore, and it's hurtful to them. I've seen that. I've seen, uh, the children come in and they realize that their mother doesn't even recognize them, and they're hurt, and, I just have to it's not my responsibility to say to them, but I say, "Hey, don't take it so hard. This isn't something that she would want to do. You have to understand that this is the disease that she is dealing with. You've gotta stay and respect the moment. Be here be here for her. Sit here with her. Just sit here and watch TV with her. Listen to some music with her, but just be in this moment." The thing that used to get me is when they try to make her remember. I say, "You don't remember me? I'm so you don't remember." She doesn't remember, and you can't bring that memory back. So for me, that was some of the difficult parts to watch when I realized that they were trying to get her to remember things that she just didn't remember. So I would say to them, like, if you wanna tell her a story, if you wanna talk about it, then talk about it, but you can't force her to try to remember, and it would be a good idea if you're not so hard on yourself if she doesn't. I understand I can understand and empathize or sympathize with the hurt that you may be feeling, but don't do that to yourself. Kimberly says, "Wendy is the goat of celebrity gossip. I don't believe this is her karma based on her work, perhaps her habits." Absolutely. I agree with that. I'm not, a lot of people, I've been hearing people say, well, this is her karma. Wendy did so many things to people. Nah, listen, say what you want. And I don't know. Karma and I aren't friends or anything like this. So we hadn't had a discussion about it. Okay. But she absolutely had habits that contribute to the type of dementia that she has. Um, and that's just a matter of fact. It is, you know. The level of alcoholism that she had been dealing with, it happens to contribute to her dementia. Some of her habits happen to contribute to that. It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. So, there's lessons there to that people can take from there. Like, "Hey, what are you doing to yourself? Or what are the possibilities of things that you could be doing to yourself?" So if there are some people who look at it from that point of view, there's lessons there. Kimberly also says, "Well, as for photographers, producers, and directors, even I think ultimately it's just another job assignment for them. Like once the network says it's a go, you got to put your personal feelings aside and do your job. I'm certain it was hard for some of them." You're right. You're absolutely right. Because that was their job. But I'm just saying, listen, a sister was getting ready to quit a job. Cause I done quit a job. I will quit a job. You understand me? Y'all gonna have to do this without me. Mm-mm. I ain't gonna be able to do it. Get somebody else. Get somebody else. Piece of cake conversations. We're in dangerous times because exploitation is rampant right now. There are so many platforms profiting off of the people's desire to fame and money. The intentions of this documentary is questionable. I agree. I mean, just look at the podcast. People are saying, we're in February, we're about to go in March. We got a couple more days here, right? And this year has been what people are calling the year of what, well, what are they saying? Somebody put it in the comments. Put it in the comments. But so much is being exposed. The year of exposure. A lot is being exposed. Keep the faith with Tori. She says, my friend that transitioned on Friday, her mom took great care of her at home so she would be comfortable. You're going to have that. You're going to have families who are going to do that, but not everyone will and not everyone can. Les says, you answered your own question of how could they do that? Some don't have any sympathy for her, not considering it, but there was a time we were asking why she treated and talked about people the way she did. It's true. It's true. Why she treated and talked about people because, you know, that was the gossip of it. There was and where she kinda got it from, she got it from the rags, the tabloids, like, there was a day, I don't know if they're still out today, but there was a time where when we went to the grocery store, the tabloids were out there, they had all of the stories, the paparazzis were out chasing stars, and they had all of these stories, and they make these stories up, and it was the gossip of things, and Wendy's style of where she took her radio and her show, it came out of her love for reading those type of things, and I think you guys kinda know that too. Um, so I don't know, but I don't think that has anything to do necessarily with her having, dementia. Keep the faith with Tori, she says, "I really hate people felt the need to broadcast Wendy at the state. That's not for everyone to see. It bothers me that some are making a mockery of her. Extremely sad. They are. They really are." Piece of Cake says, "Very much needed conversation." Indeed. It's just things that we need to think about, guys. Things we need to think about. Jeremiah, she said, "Once a man, twice a child is it." That's it. Because they go right back to needing to be taken care of. We know this. We've done this. And there's still people who need to be taken care of who are in their right mind. They just they may be an amputee, they may have a certain cancer, they may be, just older and weak, and there's just certain things that they can't do and they just need an assistance. And someone's got to provide that for them. Piece of Cake, she says, presence is key. You have to have an amazing amount of compassion and empathy. It helps you to honor them in that vulnerable state. They aren't trying to be annoying or so needy. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that because that is it right there. They're not trying to be needy. They're not trying to be annoying. They don't even know that they are. Dementia patients, they don't know that. Now, you might have an older person, you might have a grumpy granddad, you might have a grumpy dad, a grumpy grandma, you might. But as it relates to this disease of dementia, this isn't something that they're trying to do. So you have to be aware of that. And with you being the person who is there to be the caregiver, I think you just need to have patience. Stay in the moment. Handle what needs to be handled and take care of the person. I see we got Bishop Davis here in the house with me. How you doing, lady? Good to have you in the house. You said, "I didn't see the video either, but as hard it is to face some realities, we must prepare now for if we ever in a place or position to have to care for our loved ones. And support for all involved is necessary." Absolutely. We need to think about those things. I mean, it's not necessarily gonna be a popular conversation, but it's a conversation that you should have. If you are an adult, you and your adult siblings or your adult family members, you have to think about that older or that eldest person in your family and think about their health care. You gotta talk about it. Something else you said here, and support for all involved is necessary. That too. That too, because when someone is the caregiver, okay, and they still have their own life, and dealing with someone who has medical issues and needs so much attention, it really does take a lot out of you. It does. I know what that's like. It takes a lot out of you. And so I had to focus on also making sure that I was taking care of myself. I realized when when I was becoming drained, when I needed to take some extra care and some extra rest for myself. I think it's important for those on the outside who know that someone else is a caregiver. I think you need to support them. So I like what you said here, uh, Bishop. Yes, everyone involved needs to support in some type of way. You absolutely do. How you doing, John Hicks? John Hicks is in the house with us. I finally am able to catch your show. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, man. Good afternoon. Thank you for catching me here. We are talking about where is Wendy Williams documentary, and beyond that conversation, we're talking about what are we doing? What are we doing in preparation for our loved ones, perhaps our parents or our grandparents, and even ourselves? Should we need continuous care or round the clock care? What are we doing? Got to ask yourself that question. And you need to be honest. You need to be honest. Let's see who else we got in here. Uh, Daryl says, year of revelations. It is. So much is being exposed. So many people. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. It's like we finally got through the, what is it, the pandemic. And now we're in 2024 and people are starting to come out and just a whole lot of things are coming out. Things are coming out that we don't even want to know. Okay. Kimberly in the house, she says, Tanya and others in the room, have you all heard or read any information about dementia and some medical studies around it? I read it's being called type 3 diabetes and it's linked to high sugar diets and substance abuse. Just curious if anyone has anything on that. Yes, and you're right. And you're right. And medical studies are showing that. And that is becoming more of a conversation. And it's a conversation that I feel like a lot of cultures, and particularly our culture, need to talk about. You know, we talk about people having sugar, okay? And this diabetes is, so you got to think about what you're putting into your body. What are you putting into your body? And unfortunately, we live in America and everything, everything has sugar in it. Everything. You have really got to be conscious of what you're eating. You've got to be conscious of what you're buying. If it's not real food, and most of America's food is not real food, you go in these stores and you're going down these aisles and it's in a package and it's got a ton of ingredients that you can't even read. You don't know what it is, and you're eating it and you're calling that food. It is not. It is killing us. It is killing us. It is taking our minds. It is a type of diabetes, and more studies are going to come out. I'm not a medical profession, but you all do some reading because I've done some. Look it up. Look it up. Thanks for bringing that up, Kimberly, because people need to pay attention to what they're eating because you can save yourself. Save yourself. Get that fruit. Get those vegetables. Get some of that good stuff in. I mean, I'm a lover of a chocolate chip cookie. I'm not going to front, but I don't eat them every day. I don't. I'm a lover of a good piece of buttered toast, but the bread is not the same. This is not the same bread that they had back in the day. I don't even know what it is. I don't even know what a lot of this stuff is. So we've got to pay attention to the things that we're eating. We've got to pay attention, guys. We got to go back to knowing who your local farmers are. We got to go back to planting your backyard garden. You gotta go back to that. You've gotta get some healthy food in your body. You gotta do it. I see we got Candy in the house. Candy, how you doing? She said, "Y'all, my father was diagnosed with dementia at 80. It slowly evolved, and by 84, he was full blown. My father was a lifelong alcoholic. Now, not sloppy, not drunk every day. You could say only on weekends, holidays, and watching sports. He was mean, didn't lose any money over it. He was married to my mom 64 years, a great husband and great father, but his drinking contributed to his dementia 100%. Whatever we do to this body is a hit or miss on how we will end up." It's true. And guess what? Sugar does the same thing. Sugar is more addictive than cocaine, and they know it. And that's why they put it in every product, so that you will become addicted to it, so that you will continue to buy it, so that you will continue to be sick, so that you will continue to need health care, so that you will continue to buy pharmaceuticals. You understand what's going on here? You understand the larger conversation? Yeah. But you get to take this thing into your own hands. You get to make that decision. And I say make that decision moment by moment. Don't put so much pressure on yourself like, "Oh, I gotta stop doing XYZ." You know what? Just in the next moment, that next time before you put something in your mouth, you say, "You know what? No, I'm not gonna go for this. Let me make myself something, some real food. Let me grab some fruit." And don't buy all of that stuff and put it in your house. You don't have to buy, the cookies and the cakes and the big things of chips, okay? If you get some, get you a bag. Get it and eat it and feel whatever, little craving for that you may have had, and get over it if you need to do that. But does it have to be in your house all the time? What happens if it's not in your house? You can't eat it if it's not there because it's so quick and it's so easy. You'll have food in your house. But because you got that junk in your little snack pantry or wherever it is, you got cookies in those cookie jars. So before you get in there and make yourself a nice, I don't know, salad, before you get in there and make yourself a nice little fruit bowl or make yourself a nice egg sandwich or something of that nature, you'll grab the cookies or you'll open that bag of Doritos and grab those because it's quick. But that doesn't feed your hunger. That's feeding an addiction. And it's got those chemicals in there that get ready to say, "You know what? I need some more." And you're gonna go get some more. Don't keep it out of your house. Don't buy so much of that. I see we got Tammy in the house. She says, "I like the fact that she contributed to her illness through the alcohol." Hold on. "I like the fact that she contributed to her illness through the alcohol. We have to be taking care of our own mental and physical health. I am saddened for her that she is going through this and continue prayers for her." Okay, okay. I don't know what that means, it really. She says, Tammy says, "I meant that she was responsible for contributing to her lifestyle." Okay, we got you. We gonna follow you here. I see Daryl says, "I remember Wendy stating one time that she wasn't nosy. She just wanted to know." She said, "I'm not nosy. I just want to know." Okay, she just wanted to know. Mhm. Well, the thing is, the things that we do, I mean, we could criticize her uh for her alcoholism, her substance abuse, and maybe lives will be saved seeing this. I hope so. I hope someone will think differently about what they're doing to themselves, but I don't want everyone to think that because you don't drink alcohol that you're better than her and you eat donuts every morning for breakfast and you eat cakes and pies every day for dessert after dinner because you're doing something too. You're doing that too. And time will reveal. Time will reveal to you all of the things that you've done to your body. Take care of yourselves, or at least try. Tammy says, I was saddened that she was going through this and like what you said, that some of it she contribute to her illness. We have to take care of ourselves mentally and physically. Right, right. All right. Amina says here, yes, you have a point. I like to think that, like Miss Tanya, I would act in integrity and bow out of a project like that because it doesn't resonate with my spirit as something overall positive and beneficial. But I love that people like Miss Tanya can shift the energy surrounding the documentary and steer the conversations toward much needed points of discussion. That's the only thing that I feel like I can do. There's no way. Let me tell you something. Let me say this. That was a difficult watch for me. It was hard, and I almost turned from it. I almost did, and I wasn't being nosy. I wasn't being nosy. I watched a lot in disbelief. I watched because as I wanted to see if they were gonna get to a point. I don't like the way it ended. They didn't go where I thought they would go. I thought they were going to go somewhere with that, so I don't know. But there's no way that I was gonna watch that and not take what value that I felt like needed to be taken from that. What lesson can I take from that? Because in every nonsense, there's still sense. You dig what I'm saying? In every nonsense, there's still some sense. So what is the sense I can take from this? That's what I wanted to know. What is going to be valuable for my time to have sit through this? Because there's no way I want to watch a person suffer like that. I've seen it in person. I know what it looks like. I know what it's like to deal with. It's tough on family. I've seen children be so heartbroken because their mother does not remember them, and there's nothing they can do about it. And they don't live in the same state. They don't live in the same home. And so to have someone responsible to take care of them and to care and to take it serious, they appreciated it. They made me feel appreciative. Her husband made me feel appreciative, but I didn't need them to make me feel appreciative. I saw her. Like I saw the pictures in her home. I saw the way her home was kept. Like some things they do remember. There's some things that there's parts of the brain that aren't gone. And you have to watch and see what those are. And with this particular lady, she was a very neat lady. So she was always cleaning, and she still was able to keep things nice. She could do that. She was still able largely to take care of her personal self in terms of her, personal care. But some things were just not there, and you could see it in her eyes. She wasn't there. The conversation would go somewhere, and you just don't know what it is, but you can't try to bring her to where you are, and you can't necessarily go where she is. Just be in that moment. Just be there for them. So I wasn't gonna watch this with Wendy and not have the larger conversation that I felt like we needed to have. What are you gonna do if something happens to you? What are you gonna do if something happens to your loved one? Your husband, your child, anyone in your family, any loved one that you could have. Because I don't know that you can be prepared for that. Her son is young. He wouldn't know how to handle that to a magnitude, but in my eyes, he cares, and I know, and I could see the things that he did. You could see some differences of when she was with him because of the habits that he was trying to bring to her, keeping her from drinking. making her eat some better foods, letting her get some exercise. Because food is our medicine. Food is our medicine. If you've got illnesses and there's certain things that you need to take those, but food is your number one medicine. You still got to eat right. That's going to help you out a whole lot more. Eat right, get some supplements, get some sun, get some exercise. So he was doing that for her. All right. Whatever that. Eat upon the living, not the dead. What you mean there now? What you mean? Come on. Tell me, Deja. What you mean? Eat upon the living, not the dead. I think I know what you mean, but talk to me. Explain that to me. All right. Amina in here, she said, yes, I have learned more about nutrition and have come across similar information. Our health is a part of our wealth. Shoot, it's our purest form of wealth because this currency is just pieces of paper that cannot improve our health if we don't do more than just make money. I feel like Wendy is a perfect example of that because she has money. But money is not going to bring her memory back. Money can't erase dementia. So you've got to take care of yourself. You have to. Let's see, we got Manya in here with us. How you doing, Manya? Good to have you in the house. She says, hi, Tanya. I wanted you to know that I am in the room and listening. This is a very important and personal topic. I don't have much to say towards the Wendy Williams documentary, except that I wish her well. Respect. Respect. Daryl says, paying attention is being present. Absolutely. And sometimes the only thing you can do is pay attention. Be there for them. Listen to what they're saying. Or just be present because you can't take on some of the things that they're saying. Some people get very mean. Some people are very rude. And if they were already a hot what should I say? A hot-headed type of person pre-dementia and had just an ounce of an attitude, let me tell you something. Where their brain might go, you have no idea some of the things that you may have to deal with. So it's a lot. Start talking about it, people. I mean, it says, yes, a lot of people don't know that alcohol is processed by our bodies as sugar. It is a poison, and you're right. So take that serious, people. And, I mean, it says, and the foils that break down in our bodies as sugar disrupts our immune system, feeds cancerous cells, and negatively impacts the gut health and cognitive functions. Come on, let the people know. Let the people know. Kimberly St. Clair agrees with Daryl. She said, that's it. That's all. That's it. Paying attention is being present. All right. Daryl says the conversation is the next level of consciousness. Thank you, MsTonya. Well, thank you. Thank you for being a part. And thank you to everybody out here who is listening, who did not make a comment, but this is a subject matter that they can identify with because it's difficult. It really is. We got in here and we started talking, and I want to say that take care of yourselves, people. Take care of yourselves. We can't be food police for grown people. We can't. We can't. We can't be abuse police in terms of substance, from alcohol to any type of substance abuse for grown people. We just can't. But if you're going to take anything away from this documentary, take care of yourself and have the conversation. You need to have the conversation, and you need to know who's going to be taking care of you, what's going to happen to you. Are you going to lose all of your things, or your family is not going to have access to anything because someone has come in and has had to have guardianship? And that's a whole nother conversation. We reached the hour here today. Lunchtime is over. You guys go ahead and get back to work. We got in here and we started talking, and we didn't do our breath work, but guess what? We're going to do it calling out because we need it. We need it. I want y'all to take care of yourselves. Take this moment right now. And the reason why I like doing this breath work, typically when we come into the conversation as well as going out, is because that is a bit of self-care. It's less than a couple minutes. I deserve it. You deserve it. Thank y'all for talking. Let's do some breath work. Inhale to the count of 4. Hold that a few seconds. Exhale. Hold that a few seconds. Inhale again. Hold a few seconds. Exhale. And hold that a few seconds. Inhale one more time. Hold a few seconds. And exhale. Yeah. And don't you feel great? I feel great. I appreciate you guys. And if nobody gave you a smile today, if nobody smiled today, you just close your eyes and give yourself a big smile and see how that feels for you. All right? Y'all be great out here. That's what we do. One love, y'all.